Imagine your enemy thinks that you're the perfect candidate to frame for cheating on a test because they know you're smart and you're likely to score well on the test. So people will believe that you stole the answers.
Graded your mock exam papers. Most of you did quite well, some better than others. But before I hand them back, Marinette, could you bring your school bag to me, please? I need to check something. Today, someone placed an anonymous note in my mailbox claiming that you'd stolen the exam answers, and it looks like the anonymous person was right.
It's not true. Someone was planted that piece of paper in my bag.
But you answered all of the questions correctly.
I did? Yes, but because I studied, it's supposed to Marinette always scores high in your tests. This is so terribly unlike you, Marinette. You're usually so well behaved. Of course. You put the answers in my bag.
That's actually insane. Today we're talking the Marinette method. How is it that someone so busy all the time, finding off rhythms, going to school, having a social life, designing clothes, and all of these things for her friends, still gets perfect grades in school and has time to unwind and have fun? If you're just as puzzled as me, stick around to find out, step by step, how Marinette does it. Step 1. Have a motive. Marinette is not blindly studying just to torture herself. She knows why she's doing it and why it's important. Marinette has big dreams for her fashion designer, and she knows all the tips before those dreams she needs to get, not C's and D's, but A+, in order to get into the top fashion design schools. This aspiration is embedded in her daily life constantly. A lot of people, when they hear write down your goals, they're going to write it down in a notebook and never look at the notebook again. Marinette's not like that. Her representation with fashion designs and ideas all reminded her of her goal almost every moment of the day, to the extent that it feels morally wrong to not study and set yourself up to fail. Now that's how you stick to a goal. So what can you do to emulate this? So I suggest watching shows, documentaries, podcasts, anything really that are about or link to people in your dream profession. Maybe watch YouTubers or influencers that are currently living your dream life and dream career. And eventually you would have trained that hour to flood your For You page with nothing but career content. So you see people currently in your dream profession so frequently, every single time you look into studying or you have anything to go to school, you feel so guilty and become so unsettled with the fact that you're watching someone else live the version of life that you want, and being forced to confront the fact that your own lack of effort is contributing to the distance between where you are and where you want to be. Next, have an actual reason to study. Other than studying because of your big motivation and getting one step closer to your dream career, you should have an actual physical reason for studying that's not so theoretical. This is something like a test, a quiz, or some homework that needs to be turned in within a specific deadline. That's like an actual genuine reason for studying.
I'll do tomorrow! With the t-shirt for kitty section, the history test, the sketches for Jagged Stone's new poster, I still have 72 hours worth of work left to fit in by tomorrow! And the rest of the week after that's even worse!
Now what you want to do is finally grab open your notebook, but instead of writing down when you're going to study, don't do that, and instead plan out and think of the reward or the fun things that you're going to do after you finish studying. Make it something that is not so much you can't get out of it, but it'll be very awkward, or you wouldn't feel very comfortable with saying yes to it and then not turning up. Maybe something like saying you're going to hang out with a friend or attend a club after school, etc. That way you fit studying around your social life rather than fitting a social life around your studying, so you can still enjoy yourself. Now write out all the things you need to study and the latest time you need to do it. Now here's the important part. Now we're going to plan out multiple timings for when you can study before it's too late. It's not always certain that Marinette will actually have time to study in the one time frame she planned to, so she creates multiple spaces she can do it, just in case an acclimatized villain gets in the way and ruins her plans. Now lucky for us, we're not fighting off any supervillains, so our lives aren't as unpredictable as Marinette's. So we can kind of tell when there might be instances where we might not follow our study timetable. For example, if you can feel a cold coming along, or you plan quite early in the week, and you can sense that there might be something that changes in the week, or something that's uncertain that might cause you to go off timetable, you have a bit of freedom to slack off a bit without it being too damaging to your plans, making studying feel less restricting, and eliminating the panic of being behind schedule. The next step is about the what if. What if you planned wrong, and even though you plan multiple slots, still something goes wrong? You should still have an emergency plan for when you need to cram, but do it in a way that's not mentally suffocating. I was looking back on multiple episodes to make this video. I noticed that Marinette often crammed, and she was really good at cramming compared to me personally. Whenever she would do it, she wouldn't panic and lose her mind. Oh well, she would panic a little bit, but she wouldn't panic and let it take up all the time. She'd acknowledge that she's short on time, but just get it done in the end, like here.
There's no time to lose. I have less than an hour.
So now you know everything about how Marinette plans out when she's going to study. Now let's find out how she studies. Marinette is typically more of a quiet, solo studier. She likes to study alone and being her own thought process, so nobody else really slows her down. The only person or being that she has around her when she studies is Tiki, and even sometimes Tiki can be a bit of a distraction.
Come on, Marinette, you can do it. Just remember the formula. Think, Marinette, think. I might be able to do it if you weren't distracting me so much with your encouraging words.
So if you were going to emulate Marinette's studying style, I would suggest studying alone, or with someone that you know is not going to slow you down or distract you. That being said, a lot of the time, having a Kwame by your side does make the whole studying process a lot easier. You have someone there to stabilize you and make sure you're on track to completing your work. But sadly, in this world, Kwames haven't been discovered. Instead of using them, I'd suggest having a really good study partner, or being really self-aware of the time and your schedule. Another thing I suggest, especially in the summer holidays, now that you have so much time, is decorating your desk or your study area. I mean, just look at Marinette's room. It's amazing, it's adorable. I wish I was her. I wish I lived in that household, but I don't. So to really get into the studying zone and feel really locked in, I decorate my room so it's filled with reminders of why I'm studying, what I want to achieve in life, etc. Like how there's a bunch of fashion designs in Marinette's room. The next thing you often see her do is study by the book. She rarely uses her phone to study. She has used her iPad once before, but I've never ever seen her use her phone. Maybe I'm reading too much into it and it's just because of the animation, but I feel like there's some nuance here. I mean, studying with your phone, I can see why Marinette wouldn't want to study with it. Often though, she does use her phone to check the time and stuff, like here. So maybe use it more for the study schedule rather than actual learning. She also likes to talk things through with Tiki. If you don't have anyone to talk to, I'd recommend maybe just doing flashcards. I think it kind of does the same thing mentally, it's just you recalling, and I quite like flashcards a lot. Maybe like say the question out loud and plan your response out loud and then look over and see what you want to write, but do what works for you. Next thing I noticed, which I think is so fun and cool, is that she tends to study with music, which I like. Well, I mean, we haven't actually seen her in the short form with music, but it's implied multiple times.
I gotta go down to catch Mrs. Shockwing. She was listening to music. Next time, please wait for the customer in the bakery and not in your room listening to your loud music. Good. I promise I won't screw up next time.
So what I suggest is that you study with music or pretty much any subject, as long as it's more instrumental and not lyrical. But I do think lyrical music is fine when you're drawing or doing art. If you don't do art as a subject, I'm sorry, my friend. Another thing you see her do, specifically for more creative subjects, is change up her environment and her study space, like in Mr. Pigeon. I think this is a really smart idea in order to get inspiration and feel more enlightened by your surroundings. And I would say this is something that you can do for all subjects, but if you plan to go outside or to a coffee shop, it can get a bit noisy and a bit distracting, which is the last thing I want when I'm solving a difficult math problem. I mean, if you have them, you could just use noise cancelling headphones, but I sure don't. So at the end of the day, just do whatever you can and whatever you think is right. The next thing she does is take breaks, but not breaks as in go and scroll for a bit or go and take a nap. Instead, she uses breaks to take a little snap so she gets a brain fuel, or just check how much time has gone by. I don't think these breaks are really structured. I think they're just mini breaks based on how she feels when she's getting a bit tired, just to recollect herself and figure out what she has to do next. And the last thing I have for us today is that things don't go to plan, and it genuinely feels like too much. She will choose studying over her other plans. Like in Game 2.0, as much as it sucks, not everything's gonna go to plan all the time, and sometimes you really do need to prioritize your academic life over your social life. And that's okay. Sometimes I'm busy in life and she will do this something to go out and wake up late for school. But it's all in the process of learning and doing academics. It's all about embracing the mistakes and making sure you know the next right thing you need to do in order to get out of them. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you found it useful. Bye. I love you guys so much.